Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Lead-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in.
My name is Kristen Fogle, and I am stepping in for Rebecca Jones today on the SheEO Lead-In podcast. I am the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., so all things literary is kind of my shtick. And I'm sitting here with Georgia Sadler. You didn't know that you were stepping into someone who's interested in narrative, so I can't wait to hear all about your stories.
I'm very excited, so thank you.
Yes, thanks. Thank you so much for being here. So I figured we could approach this initial question, as if you were on a panel or something like that. So just tell me a little bit about what do you do currently? How long have you been doing that? Let's just start simple.
I've been doing it for a very long time.
Okay.
I'm at the point that I've already retired.
Okay.
A month later, I was missing the job and I went back to work.
I have a feeling I'm going to be you. Yeah.
Yes. And I love teaching. I love doing research. I love the people. I love the mission. So it was a very hard decision to retire, but what it did give me was a little more flexibility. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be on committees when you're retired.
Yes.
And you don't have to do service when you're retired. Mm-hmm. You can just focus on what you love.
Yeah.
So actually, retirement made my excitement of work even better.
That's wonderful. This is good info for me. So you are at UC San Diego.
I'm a professor at the University of California, San Diego, and I'm in the Department of Surgery, which is unusual for a public health person.
Yes, I was a little confused by that myself, but
I'll
not being a
explain that
scientist
to you.
or being in the medical profession, I said, I guess that's where she belongs.
So as a woman following a lovely husband around the world, we ended up in San Diego, and the price of housing was like nosebleed city. It was so high.
Yes.
And so we both had to get jobs really fast.
Okay.
So I took whatever job was there, and it happened to be in head injury.
Okay.
And first I started in family medicine and did grants about disparities in healthcare in general. Then I went into head injury, and that put me in the Department of Surgery.
Okay.
And I loved that job. It was fabulous. I got to talk to legislators about helmet use and seatbelts and child car safety restraints. Get laws passed that made a difference, and opened my eyes to what one little voice in the wilderness can do if you yell loudly enough and you know the people to go to who make the laws, and you just talk to them like the neighbor they are. They're your ally when you're trying to make the world a better place. So that was a really good introduction for me, the whole field of head injury. We were at the point where barbiturate comas had just been proven to save lives in brain injuries. So it was a wonderful time. And it was also a chance to say, well, even though you've survived it, you may have some damage.
Yes.
You may have some memory problems. You may have some physical problems. So it was a chance then to think about, well, what else can we do for people who survive these injuries and should really have a good life, but have limitations. And so we started to work with our physical therapists and came up with a program that we then convinced community college, Mesa Community College at the time was called, to create a whole program for patients who are recovering from brain injury, a field that was not even needed 2 years before because we weren't saving lives. Now, all of a sudden, with this idea of a induced coma that reduces brain activity and the demands of the brain and allows it to heal, all of a sudden we were having people who were living potentially really good lives, but with some limitations.
Yeah.
So again, how do you do a partnership? It was a partnership with community college. And that partnership then stayed with me for the rest of my life because I valued my colleagues there, and equally importantly, the students who are at community college are just amazing people.
Yes.
They are students who have disadvantages financially more often than not, and they're going against all odds to get a college education and having to do it really well in spite of often working full-time jobs.
Absolutely.
So that became a passion for me as I went down the roads of always trying to have community college students work with me or transfer students to the university to work with me. And then as I got closer to a point in my own research career where I had the luxury of not having to have quite so much research because I had a large amount of findings built up that I was publishing and still writing grants to continue, I had the luxury of writing some additional grants which were to bring in students, preferably from community college, but from all walks of life who were low income, first-generation college students, and from communities that were underrepresented in health and science careers on the doctoral and the master's level. So that was, it just rings all my bells because it was science, it was research, it was young people, it was disparities research, and trying to figure out in the realm of cancer now, because I had then eventually moved into the whole field of cancer research, what can we do to at least level the playing field when we're looking at cancer disparities? And it's also not just bad disparities, there are some good disparities too. And so looking at what are people who seem to be living longer doing, seem to be avoiding a particular cancer, what are they doing differently? So it was just this incredible puzzle that you got to work on. And I always had a dozen or two students at least. And then we had programs that worked with our Asian grocery stores. How do you reach the Asian community where the language barriers are huge, where you don't really have a natural meeting place?
Yeah.
And it became the grocery stores, the Asian grocery stores.
We're hitting so many different things, and I wonder if maybe you can situate me for a second, because I'm trying to, we're talking head injury, which I have a personal connection to. We're talking cancer and research and all of your teaching and everything. I wondered if you would be so kind as to take us back a little bit so we can kind of trace the, as I said, I'm a narrative person, so I'm working off of a narrative structure. So where did you begin? Where did you go to school? What did you go to school for? And where did you kind of start so you can bring me up to some of this?
I began in a very small town in Pennsylvania with a love of the big city, which I'd never seen. So I applied to a school in Philadelphia called the University of Pennsylvania School of Nursing, and I received my nursing diploma there. In those days, hospitals were the best places to get a nursing education. But it was also on the University of Pennsylvania campus, and they had just started a nursing school there that was very exciting. So when I finished my diploma program, I went straight there to do my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
I liked school. I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't have a life plan. And so I looked at the things on that campus, and there was an MBA program that was fairly new at the Wharton Graduate School called the Leonard Davis Institute. And so I thought, well, that sounds like a good thing to do next. No plan. No plan. I just thought when I got that first diploma degree, I was done. I was okay, but then I liked education. I liked learning. So I did an MBA, and in the meantime, I applied for a fellowship to go to the United Kingdom to study for up to 3 years, which I was lucky to receive. It was a Turan British American Exchange Scholarship. And so I went to the University of London after finishing my MBA and spent some time there. And then I fell madly in love with this guy and came back to get married to him and finished my degree in the States in public health.
This is the man that you've been going all over the country with.
Yeah.
And what does he do?
He was the president of Children's Hospital here in San Diego for 26 years.
Gotcha.
And worked at Scripps Clinic and Green Hospital. Before that, he was the director of the hospital there. and is currently retired and spending a lot of time doing work similar to my passion of working with disadvantaged young people. He's working at Access Youth Academy as the president of their board of directors. It's a program that helps students get into fantastic colleges around the country by giving them squash skills. It's a sport, which we don't see very often. It's also a vegetable.
Yes.
But it's a sport. And that, along with teaching them civic responsibility, giving them better study skills, giving them a lot of information about how to take care of their health and their mental health as well, they're having huge success of sending so many students to colleges all over the country. Millions and millions of dollars of scholarship for the students because they are disadvantaged.
That's wonderful. I mean, what I'm hearing here is that you all could be slowing down, but you're not. And
No.
this makes sense. Okay, so received your MBA in London. When did you start to get into cancer and research and all of that?
In some ways, it happened a lot earlier. I'd finished my nursing degree. I was the night supervisor in the med-surg department at Philadelphia General Hospital. We were just packed that one night, and there was a gentleman whose bed was in the hall because we had no more beds on the ward. And that was fine. We had nurses taking care of him. But he said to me, could I have a cigarette? And in those days, patients were allowed to smoke cigarettes in hospitals. And he was dying. He was within days of death, and he was dying of oral cancer, probably from his lifetime of smoking.
Sure.
And he had a laryngectomy, so he smoked through his larynx, the laryngectomy hole. And I thought, this is the wrong end of the train. I don't want to be on this end of the health train. It's not where I want to be. I want to be the person that's in the community telling him not to smoke for his whole life.
Yeah.
It was such a pivotal, moving moment for me. I just thought, okay, this is it. I know what I want to do. I want to be at the engine of the caboose of the train and not the caboose end where I'm putting people in death bags to go to the morgue. That was the beginning. And then from there on, everything I did, my bachelor's degree, I always focused on public health courses. My MBA, I worked on a whole project about prevention and early detection of heart disease, cancer diseases, diabetes. And then when I went to the University of London, I continued that research and then eventually came back here and finished my degree in public health.
Okay. And then you've been in San Diego for how long now?
We got here in 1977.
Oh, okay. So it's been a little bit of time.
Home. Yes.
It's home now.
Yes.
Okay, great. And so when did you go the head injury route? When did that all?
It was just, I was in a meeting and I had a job that wasn't going to be lasting forever, but I got here and I got a job. And I was sitting in a meeting and I recognized one of my friend's husbands from the University of Pennsylvania days. And we just connected. And he said, oh my gosh, I'm looking for you. Perfect match for this new grant I just have on head injury. I'd never worked in head injury before, but it was incredibly interesting because we were now on this cusp of a head injury no longer being a death sentence or such a disabling injury that you could never recover and regain any sense of normalcy.
Sure.
So to be in this exciting new place where we were trying to make laws to have motorcycle riders wear helmets and proper protective clothing, to have children in car seats required by law, it was an amazingly exciting time because we were able to work both on the treatment end, because I have a nursing degree, so I understood all of this stuff, and I'd taken care of a lot of head-injured patients while I was working at Philadelphia General Hospital and realized the importance of what we were doing right now. It was just exhilarating.
Right. Yeah.
So that was a really important turning point for me. And then after that, these grants don't last forever. And we'd accomplished what we'd set out to do with testing this induced barbiturate coma and proved that it had life-saving benefits. Also, removing part of the skull, literally sort of opening the lid of the coffee can so that the coffee could expand and blow out,
Interesting.
It was amazing. And then they would attach that piece of the skull to a section of the body where it could continue living internally, right? And then put it back in your skull when
That's
your
incredible.
brain swelling went down.
Wow.
It was awesome. It's still awesome. I mean,
yes.
it is the way patients are treated today.
That's incredible. At Writers Inc., we are across the hall from the San Diego Brain Injury Foundation. So I've had the pleasure of teaching a lot of their students, and it's been fascinating because it runs the gamut, those brain injuries. So it's been very interesting to see. It's influenced my teaching. I teach in a different way based on those folks. I also think, too, my father was diagnosed with dementia, but he had been in a car accident years before, and I think that there was probably a brain injury component in there. So
very likely.
That's kind of my personal connection to that. So that's very, very interesting. You and I were talking a little bit before we got on air about pivoting, and I'm seeing a lot of that in here, with the grants and things like that. So you would say that pivoting has been pivotal to your career, if you will.
It's really essential because you have, first of all, I have too many ideas, and I recognize that. I'm always looking at what else could be, what else is possible. How else can I add on? It's like being a decorator crab, where I just want to keep glomming on more things to what I'm doing, because I can see, there's a place here I could squeeze this little thing in, or I could do this on top of it. Or I've enjoyed working with colleagues who are different from myself. They're primary care doctors, they are psychologists, all walks of life, surgeons, you name it, I've been there. And one of the really fun things is you keep seeing in that environment how much else is possible to do. And then you keep trying to find ways to do it. So an example is one of my really wonderful colleagues, Dr. Vanessa Malcarney, who's a professor at San Diego State University, is an expert at measurement instruments. Well, if you're a public health person, you have sort of two answers: the patient lives or the patient dies, right? But there's also quality of life issues that you have to think about. What helps life be better? But those weren't measurable in my world. It was just a black and white outcome. You live or you die. And if you live, that's great. Then the question is, how long do you live? But these are metrics that are very coarse metrics, and there are many, many more things. So if you have a serious spinal cord injury, that's a black and white. You have a serious spinal cord injury. But then the question becomes, as you're doing, you're teaching students, how can they get the best out of their life? What can we do to make their life better? What can we do to reduce residual damage that keeps creeping up over time? And so those questions were harder to answer without better instruments. So one of my favorite parts of my own career was working with a colleague whom I really enjoy working with. Dr. Malcarney is just an amazingly fun person. But she and I also shared so many comparable values about teaching students and getting as much out of research as we possibly could. So when we would write a grant, we wouldn't just have one or two outcomes. We might have 10 or 20 things that were potential outcomes because we were using these other measurement instruments that she was helping me to learn about, and I was helping her to learn about the healthcare side of the world.
Right.
So those kinds of partnerships were just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And enriching for everybody.
Yeah. And it sounds like there have been a lot of those over your career and everything, and you sound a lot like me where you have a lot of different interests and niches and things like that. I guess something that I'm wondering from a practical aspect is, how do you decide which to go down, which collaborations to, do you have metrics yourself, or did you have metrics about this is what because you only have so many hours in the day, right?
Right.
So do you have like a guiding set of principles? Like how do you make those decisions?
I do prioritize.
Okay.
The first priority is I want to work with people I really enjoy working with. That's, to me, if I'm having fun, if I'm doing things that I like, if I'm working with someone that's carrying their share of the load. But the big thing is fun.
Yes.
Life is short.
Yes.
Why not have fun?
I agree.
And we're going to work so we can choose to work with people we really enjoy being with, or not think about that. For me, that was a very, very high importance because I spent so much time with these colleagues.
Yeah.
And we would work on weekends because we had grants to write. So it wasn't a 9-to-5 job. We sort of lived inside each other's skins and each other's brains because we were constantly thinking of new things that we could share with each other. And it wouldn't be unusual for me to write to her or her to write to me or any of my other colleagues. Sonia Nkoli Israel, for example, she's a sleep specialist. We would just write notes to each other. Hey, I just thought of this, or what about that? So it's been a really easy time to find ideas and colleagues. Your point, though, about time is finite. I don't sleep that much.
That's nice.
So I'm one of those people that I don't use an alarm and I just wake up. So that helps, and I don't get sleepy in the daytime. So I gain an extra hour, maybe, or 2, sometimes 3, that I wouldn't have if I slept normally.
Okay.
And I've been that way all my life. So this is not a work stress thing. My parents said the first things I said was, I don't like sleep. I was probably 3 because it was done in baby talk when they would tell me about it. But I really enjoy daytime. I love watching the sunrise as a nurse, on the night shift. I would be in the night shift. I would be going to school days. And boy, when that sun came up, the patients all calmed down. They'd lived through another night.
Yeah.
And they were going to get to see another sunrise. And everything just went, it just calmed down. So that was always my favorite time of the day. And I think I wake up because I love that time of day so much. But I also like sunsets, but I also like the moon rising. Right? So
you just like it all. I'm seeing that in general.
Yeah, it's finding just joy every place you can find joy, whether it's friends or environment or whatever it is. But you do have to set priorities. And I keep a running list of what has to be done. And I try and follow it as best I can. I miss deadlines sometimes, but not too often because I do set priorities. And, the deadlines I miss are ones that were missable.
Right.
Right. Oh, I forgot to go grocery shopping. Oops. Well, let's see what's in the refrigerator that we can throw together for supper tonight. Those are the deadlines that are flexible, and the ones you have to be reasonable. You can't meet them all perfectly. And so we have a saying in our house: when all else fails, lower your standards. Because if you have these really high standards and expectations of what you can do, you can't do them all.
Right.
And you have to figure out what ones are you going to let go.
I love that mantra. And when you were saying that it seems like you can shut things off relatively easy with getting such little sleep and just kind of waking up without an alarm and everything like that. I think that speaks to someone that doesn't hold on to everything so tight, No. Is that accurate? You're just able to let things roll off a bit.
They talk about an A personality, which is a high, hardwired personality. But years ago, they came up with this new personality called a G personality, which is the person who looks like an A but is very relaxed.
Okay.
And doesn't stress.
All right.
So I'm not good at stressing. I relax a lot.
Okay.
To the point that when I'm working with a new colleague, the first thing I'll teach them is, listen, if I come in and say, it's going to be a really bad day today, imagine that's the person throwing books against the wall and screaming. Because that's the level of pressure that we're going to be under today to get to this deadline. So just because I look really relaxed, don't think we can slow down today. Today we're going to put our pedal to the floor and go 100 miles an hour.
Interesting.
But if you know that about me, then we get along great.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know you're going to follow with me and we'll keep up with each other all day.
Right. And that's good that you don't have the mentality, like you said, like prioritizing, that everything doesn't have to be grinding as fast as we can all of the time.
Right.
That just doesn't seem tenable.
No,
or
it's
fun.
Not. It's
like
not
you
fun.
said.
Life has to be a little fun.
Well, I want to go back to that too with mentorship. I was filling out some sort of interview too, and I think that was one of the first things that I said about mentoring is it's someone that I want to be able to spend time with. I value their knowledge and all of that sort of stuff, but I just want to sit and laugh and have a conversation and enjoy my time. So what else do you look for in a mentor or a mentee?
I always look for people different than I am because I think it has to be a two-way street.
Yes.
So if you're going to learn from me, I need to learn something from you. So I always look for students who aren't cookie cutters of who I am. They may be, but they still need to be a little bit different in some variety of ways. They live in a different part of the country. They're one of 20 children. I'm an only child. There are lots of differences among us that go beyond just race, ethnicity, socioeconomic level,
right.
all of those factors. So it's just it's having someone that I enjoy talking with, I think, is really what it comes down to, someone who would be a friend. And even though there's always an age difference with a student, we become lifetime friends.
Yeah.
I have a guy who just called me a couple of weeks ago. He was my student 45 years ago. And it's like I just saw him a couple of days ago, and we stay in touch.
Yeah.
So most of my students write, send pictures of babies, stay in touch. And it's just a joy. It's absolutely a joy.
And then talk to me a little bit about the mentor aspect. Can you identify some of those along the way that really gave you salient points about life or your career, or what do those people kind of look like?
I had some really good mentors. I really did. And I had some teachers who were not. And that made a very big impression on me, to see that a teacher wasn't necessarily a good mentor or a good teacher. So I wanted to be like the folks who were good. And I just paid attention to what they were doing. And it felt a little bit like building your own skeleton. I took a bone from this person and a bone from that person, about mentoring bones, right? And one professor, I always remember, her first name is Sylvia. I'm blocking on her last name just a second. But she always had time. No matter when you stopped in to see her, she just dropped everything, and you were the center of her attention. She would tell you, I'm in the middle of grading papers, but come sit down for 5 minutes and tell me what's happening. I wanted to be like her. That was a great professor. And then there were others that inspired me with research ideas and how passionate they were about research. One of my Wharton professors, Sam Bass, was like that. And he just made it possible for me to do my thesis for my master's degree in top speed, because I really had to leave that fall to go on to my Turan Fellowship in England. And he had the summer off, and he just gave me his summer, as much as I needed of time. He would be there and help me just make sure I wasn't making any mistakes, making sure I was being efficient in what I was doing. I had some wonderful mentors. I had some wonderful mentors along the way. We also worked with a guy named Bruce Breyer, who was a time management specialist. He is now retired, but my husband and I took a class with him because Blair was going to take this class, and I said, there's no way you're going to learn about time management without doing it together.
Right.
Because it has to be both of us managing our time.
Absolutely.
So we did that, and that was a really important, really early part of our life together that I think enabled us to be a two-career couple of sitting down every New Year's Eve. We will sit down and do our life goals for the next year. We'll do a quick review of what's happened, where we're doing. And if our children are now here with us, oftentimes we used to do that because my parents would come and babysit for New Year's Eve, and we could have a weekend away. Now our kids come, so we do it later in January. But we always sit down every year, and then regularly throughout the week of the year, every week of the year, and say, how are we doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? How can I help? What do you need? How can I help you? Back and forth. And so that time management skill was really, really helpful. There's a wonderful book by Robert Allen about getting things done and getting your priorities figured out that is very similar to what Bruce Breyer taught us. And I use that book now when I'm teaching my students how to set goals, how to manage their time, how to figure out what their priorities are, and then also how to get family members to help them, because none of us can do this alone.
Absolutely.
We need to have family buy-in, especially if you're a member of a family with young children, a partner in life, mothers and fathers that sometimes need our help or don't understand why we can't be there for their birthday. We need to have buy-in from the whole family, and we need to give and take.
Yes.
It's not just giving, it's giving and taking that enables someone to achieve their personal best. And that's all we can ask of ourselves. What can I do that's my personal best, that not only benefits me, but benefits the community and its individuals whose lives I come into contact?
Absolutely. I'm struck as we're speaking, just, how beautiful and enviable, if I was an envious sort, how your career has progressed. It just seems amazing and fascinating, but also your partnership with your husband is, just seems very, very lovely. And I wonder, kind of thinking about that family aspect, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to raise young kids and advice you have for, this is me obviously wanting some advice too. I have a 5-year-old, how do you strike a balance, or how do you do that?
So I had great parents. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the part of Pennsylvania that was not wealthy, the Appalachian Mountains of Pennsylvania. And my parents had realistic expectations for what a girl could do in those days. Mm-hmm. And they were always happy with whatever I achieved, and it was always exceeded their expectations. But they always were there supporting. They both taught me skills. My mother was a nurse. My father was a salesman. So in the summertime, he would take me on the truck with him and teach me how to be a salesman, how to talk to people, how to sell things, right? Amazing stuff. I'm now selling science ideas to other scientists, right? To get a grant, I have to convince them that this is a really good idea and why it's a good idea. How to be nice to people, how to respect other people, how to work with different people. Listening to my mother, the excitement she had about being a nurse. So I had that good fortune. And as a result, I wasn't very anxious about being a parent. I just figured everybody knew how to do it. Mm-hmm. And it was easy because it was easy for my parents. And I just didn't worry about it very much. I just kind of bullheadedly went through it and just said, listen, you guys didn't come with user manuals.
Right.
I don't have any manual to tell me what to do now. So we're going to have to figure this out together.
Yeah.
And we kept that saying, lower your standards when all else fails, front and center, because the house was not always perfect. Mm-hmm. In fact, it still isn't perfect. We always say, next week we're going to do this. We're going to get on top of this. But things get done because we prioritize and we don't do things that aren't important.
Sure.
Or that can be put off. And I think the only thing that's important for children, really, is telling them how much you love them. Mm-hmm. That's the only message you have to deliver. Yeah. I love you. I think you're wonderful. Mm-hmm. You make me happy. I find joy in you every day. There's nothing else we have to do. If we build that kind of self-love in our children, they're going to be great adults. Mm-hmm. They really will. And if we're good people, they'll want to be like us, right? Yeah. We aren't mean or cheating people. We role model what's the best of us, and just keep reassuring them they're great people. Mm-hmm. Our children are amazing. They're a piece of us. How can they be bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess we were talking about this earlier too. It seems like they can. Can women have it all?
Yes, but you have to do it in smaller doses. Mm-hmm. And you also have to know what you want. Mm-hmm. I knew that I didn't particularly want to be bothered breaking the glass ceiling. I had absolutely no desire to become a dean of nursing or a dean of a school of public health. I loved having boots in the ground in the community. So my husband jokes that I am the only person he knows that can go to 12 beauty salons and look a lot worse on Saturday evening. Because I did work with African American beauty salons, and I would spend my Saturdays working with them, teaching them how to do this research project. Half the salons were teaching their clients about breast cancer, and the other half were teaching their clients about diabetes. And so I would spend the whole Saturday, because that's when they were busiest, and I could see everybody, going to 12 beauty salons every weekend. And I really did come home bedraggled. My nails were broken from opening boxes that had the cartons that I was going to leave with them of pamphlets. I was in dusty parking lots sweating and, perspiring, I should say, glistening. And the dust would stick to my face. And, I was pretty bedraggled by the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it was just such fun. And then I worked with the Asian community. I would go to all kinds of events, the Chamorro community. We have the largest Chamorro community outside of Guam. And because I spent a lot of time in the community, I was invited to a lot of the family events and the church events to come. So I had this sense, I love to travel, since obviously I went to Europe for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I love traveling, and we spent a lot of time traveling in Asia. But when I'm home, I can travel just as much because our community is so diverse. We have so many amazing, grocery stores and restaurants
Absolutely.
here. You can get anything you want in San Diego. We have someone who will provide it for you.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding out who that magical person is, or finding friends from that community.
Right.
Getting to know other people that are different from you. We were asked once, how many of you have had someone who's not just like you for lunch or for dinner at your home? And I thought, I can answer that one pretty easily, but most people couldn't in the group that I was with at that
Interesting.
time. And I thought, what a blessed life I have. I have this amazing group of friends from the African American community, the Hispanic community, the Asian Pacific Islander community. It's been a wonderful, wonderful life to be able to have all of these people that have touched my life and made it better. And I hope I've helped to make their community's life overall a little bit better too.
I have no doubt, listening to you speak for the last half hour, 40 minutes, however long it's been, that you have touched many lives. And it's been very inspiring to listen to you. Before we sign off, is there anything that we can do to support any of the efforts that you're passionate about?
Sure.
Yeah.
I gave blood on Saturday.
Okay.
Give blood. We need blood.
Okay.
We really need to support the blood bank. We need to support other charities in town.
Yes.
Access Youth Academy is one. The American Cancer Society is another. Leukemia Foundation. Find where your passion is. Think about what your family's medical history suggests you should be involved with. Because that's going to have a direct benefit to you and your loved ones potentially.
Interesting, yeah.
So look at your family history, learn your family's medical history. That's important to you selfishly. Immediately, it may not be, but for the rest of your family members, your extended family, my parents, my whole family live long into their late 90s.
Wow.
My mom died at 96, my dad at 95, my grandmother at 98, an aunt at 94. So for me, financial incentives were to learn enough about the finances to take care of myself in my old age.
Yes.
Because there's a better than even chance I'm going to live to be very, very old.
Right.
And so teaching financial skills to people, learning to live within your means. I would love to see every school require children to understand how to balance a checkbook and how to look at income against outgo. And paying yourself first. So I think taking care of yourself in those ways are just as important. Your medical future and your financial future, they're equally important to a good outcome in your life.
Well, listen, this is all such wonderful wisdom. If it was my show, I would invite you back. Hopefully Rebecca will have you back at some point in time so she can glean even more wisdom from you. But I just wanted to say wholeheartedly, thank you so much for chatting with me. I appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. You've made this fun.
Oh,
so thank
thanks.
you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learn how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host Rebecca Jones.